I'm on a quest to find music and art. Supporting local talent is the place I start. Yeah, this is our culture, the place to be. Games, books, arts and crafts and jewelry. This the guardians of the geekery. 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 And now for today's episode of Guardians of the Geekery with your hosts, Matt, Carol, and Joey.
Woohoo! Guardians of the Geekery, back with the Geekery Market Spotlight Edition podcast version. Oh my gosh. Real quick, when is the Geekery Market? You might be asking. We never tell you, do we? It is Saturday, November 9th. It's Saturday, November 9th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Over 30,000 square feet of geeky goodness. I think the Giddy Geeker coined the phrase, it's like Etsy, real life Etsy for geeks. Is that
I would love to take credit for it. It was John Hartness that we said, how would you explain the Geekery Market to somebody who's never been? And he said, real life Etsy for geeks. So,
well,
back when Etsy
he's practically my brother, so that's acceptable.
But it's at the Cabarrus Arena Event Center. We're in the event center. That is the middle building. I just ordered an 11-foot inflatable dragon, so just look for that, and you'll find
another one. Wait, another one?
Well, because the other one was only 6 foot. You know, if you're gonna go big, right? So that way we can put the little one inside next to Jedi Santa. We can put the big one outside.
Are we gonna have to change your name from Giddy Geeker to Mother of Dragons?
You know, I have to tell you, between Mimi and Gigi, you know, Geek Gala and Mimi, the mascot of the Geekery Market, and then all the people that we have making some kind of dragon somewhere in their stuff this year, and Tabby will that's a good segue into you'll have to incorporate a dragon in some of your designs this year. So, but we might play a game of, instead of finding Mimi's gold, of find the dragons, because I feel like almost every table is going to have a dragon, so you could find the dragons throughout the market and win a prize for that. So but yeah, so speaking of which, we have Tabby here. This is her first time here. Welcome to the crazy. Welcome to the family. And she is with paprikaSTUDIOS and has kindly joined us tonight. Thank you and welcome, Tabby.
I'm glad to be here. And also to go on that little dragons thing, instead of the House of Dragons, would be the House of Geekery Dragons.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Exactly. Geeky wings, right? And then of course we have our mascot. I don't think Angel likes how high up I put the camera this time, because she's like, hey, I'm over here. So.
It's a puppy. I love puppies.
Yeah, she's our little rescue puppy, so we love her very much. If you'd like to see a cute picture, you have to go on the video podcast, and you can also see our land shark Ninx going back and forth across Carol's screen.
Just pacing now.
When she hears the voices come from the machine, she has to know.
Like immediately, like, oh, I got to go walk in front of mom a few times. Now, come on.
So Tabby, tell us a little bit about paprikaSTUDIOS, how it started, how it all began, and what kind of geeky goodness, all that stuff that you're going to be bringing to the market. Yeah, let's listen.
Absolutely. I started paprikaSTUDIOS back in 2013. Where I did my very first convention. Well, I started prepping before it, but my very first convention was Triad AnimeCon, and back in Winston-Salem back in the days. When
oh my God!
That was a while ago.
Oh yeah. Originally, I was doing what everybody else was doing. I was doing, you know, just like prints, bookmarks, simple keychains, because back then there was not a whole expansion as what we see in artist alleys today. So, and in 2015, I made that switch where I started putting my stuff on pillows and getting my stuff made it into like pillow fabric, so I can go ahead and make them like my little yay right here.
Yes.
But yeah, I just expanded. I started thinking, like, you know, the one thing that people always run out is wall space. What can I do to change to fill in that market for something else than wall space. And so I started thinking of more tangible items such as the pillows, the cups, keychain charms. I couldn't put this guy up, but bags, because we all love our
Yes.
bags.
Yes.
So I just started thinking of more functional items. What can I do for functional items? And I mean, I'm still expanding today. Like I'm planning to do mouse pads because
Ooh.
I'm into gaming. I'm into video games and all that. And blankets. So it's an ever expanding thing focus because of the fact that I focus more on the functionality versus pretty art on the wall.
Yeah.
Which I have a ton of. Not putting that down at all, but yeah, I just wanted to fill the other void of people's wants and needs.
So I have to ask, because you're anime centric with your art, does paprika come from the movie?
No, it doesn't. It's actually an old college nickname.
Ah, okay.
Because of the
Because-
hair.
Yep, the
Yeah.
hair. I walked in one day and it was like the light had just shined down, and one of the people in the class was like, "Man, your hair is so red, it's like a paprika." And it stuck. So at that point, I actually designed Paprika in college, my mascot, and she's actually grew. She used to have fox ears, ironically. Her
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
her first drafts, she had fox ears, but that changed, and then she had glasses. She looked a little bit more like me, and then I changed her again to be her more individual person, starting about 2017. So
Yeah.
no more glasses. She just has this, I call it the football head syndrome. But no, she became more of her own person. She has her own online comic now.
Ooh.
So, it all started back in college.
Yeah. Though I feel like high school, college, as you transition, that really like changes a lot about you. I always talk about so I go by Joey, but that's not the name my mother gave me. My mother won't call me Joey. But when I transferred schools my senior year in high school, and I went to a small school that had 100 seniors in it, 104, I think, of us successfully walked across the stage. There was more at the beginning. We were 104 by the end. And the first open house night, I was there, and three girls, it was like a scene from Mean Girls. Three girls approached me and were
Okay.
just kind of like, "Is your name Sherry too?" And I was like, "Well, it's Sherry Joe." And she's like, "Yeah, but you probably go by Sherry." And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "There are already 4 of us Sherrys in our senior class. Do you go by anything else?" And I was like, "Well, this guy over the summer couldn't remember my name, and he called me something Joe, and then it started being Joe or Joey." And she goes, "That's it. You should go by that." And I was like, okay. But the interesting thing for me, if you want to look at it from a psychology standpoint, is like, then after that, as I introduced myself the first week of school. Every time I had a new class, the teacher would be like, "What do you go by?" I'd say Joey. And it just kept reminding me, whoever I was up until the time that my senior year, the little bookworm against, the wallflower, the goody two shoes, like that was all gone. I was in a new school. Nobody knew me that way. I could be who I wanted to be. And so Joey just became this very life affirming name for me. And now you have the giddy geeker that won't stop talking in front of you today. So
Well, I approve.
but I think, like, it's so interesting how in college somebody calls you Paprika. Next thing you know, you have a studio named after that. You've got a whole thing, and it's so funny how like that one little aspect where I could have totally said, "No, my name is Sherry Joe, and you're gonna call me Sherry Joe, and that's all there is to it," changes your whole life. Like changes your whole course of where you go, right?
Oh, I completely agree. There's actually some people, because I buy Tabby, that's the shortened version of my name that I prefer. But some people, because of the fact that I specialize in chibi art, call me Chibi. And then there's just some people who calls me Paprika. I'm like, call me whatever, just don't call me my full first name.
Yeah, like that's how how people know me. And poor Matt, when he goes to family gatherings, he's like, "Honey, funny. He's like, because he's like, do I call her Sherry or Sherry Joe? I hate Sherry, by the way. If you really want to get on my nerves, call me Sherry. Because like there was that song, Sherry,
Oh
baby.
gosh, I remember that song.
Carol the cat. Don't even start with that. I saw you. And then
it's
and then there was the
Carter
Journey
from
song,
Next
Oh
Day.
Sherry, which was great, but it was very popular and it was playing all the time. And then in New England, I don't know if it's the case here, but the way you spell Sherry, my name, Cheri, was actually the name of a porn magazine. So like
Oh, wow.
Hustler and Playboy and Sherry, those were like the three big porn magazines. So
Oh my
as
goodness.
a goody two shoes, that was just not, it was not my thing. So
Yeah, no, I feel that because, well, my full name is Tabitha,
yeah.
and I often got people would ask me if I could wiggle my nose, like
Nose.
the,
Oh my God, yes.
that means my name.
Oh,
You know
Somebody
my
said,
pain. You
yeah,
are,
it's like
you are
someone's like, I'm gonna call you sitcom because
Oh.
of my other name. I'm going like, please no. So
no.
I started, but at that point I started going by nicknames.
Yeah.
And only family calls me by my, only one person in my family actually now just calls me by my full name.
Yeah. Like the only one that really gets away with it is my mom. And like everybody else has slowly come to the dark side.
I love that.
Yes. So
So-
show us more stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
I was gonna say, so
So-
what is your creative process? Are all of your characters original or
So I do, so I am a fan artist mainly because I would say about 99.99999% of my stuff is fan art based. That comes from anime, video games. I actually just finished a design from Magic the Gathering. Let me see. And these are people who also commission me to do fan art. They don't commission me to do original characters. They commission me to do fan art. But
That's good.
I actually do draw some of my own OCs. I don't, unfortunately, don't have any of it printed out, but they just don't get as much spotlight because everyone's instantly goes like, oh my God, you drew this character. And especially when they see some of the nostalgic 90s anime, like Oh My Goddess or the 2000s from Fruits Basket. And people are instantly going like, oh my God. So
Stuff that
yeah,
they probably couldn't find in the 90s because it wasn't widely available. And
Yep.
so now they're all about it, right? So
exactly. It's like right now I'm working on Rama 1/2.
Oh,
Long before they announced the reboot, Ray Earth. I'm drawing some for Ray Earth. So it's just a lot of people recognize me more for my fan art than my original stuff, except for Paprika. I've actually had pillows of Paprika, and the cutest little girl came up and was like, hold a pillow. She's like, I want this, Daddy. And she bought my Paprika pillow.
and you can't say no at that point, even if it was like just for display purposes. It's like
Exactly.
okay.
But overall, I mean, yeah, I draw what I love. That's why I tell people it can be fan art or it can be my original stuff, but I am mainly fan art. But the great interesting thing is because I have a process where I still sketch everything on pencil and paper. I have never gotten that up. I have tried to do that on a computer screen. I don't get the same feel for it. So everything starts originally on traditional art with sketch and paper. I scan it, and that's when I do the whole conversion into digital art with using like Adobe Illustrator, Paint Tool Sai, Adobe Photoshop. So that's basically the process of it.
I like the idea that you start with pen and paper because I know a lot of artists are going straight digital, and it would be a totally different feel, I would think, than actually picking up pencil and paper.
It does. For me, it's like it gets just a little bit more personal by starting out the traditional ways. I mean, that's how I learned. That's how everybody learns originally is you get a piece of paper, you get a pencil, and you just start drawing. It doesn't matter what it is. So for me, it feels more personal, more intimate, starting from sketching. And then, yeah, I throw it on the computer and I make it all pretty, but I feel a more connection to my art because I've done the straight on drawing from monitor. I'm like, I don't get the same feeling.
Yeah.
That's
I know.
Go ahead.
I was
Oh.
just gonna say, when I was writing, it was the same thing. I had a notebook and I would write it out. Then I'd go back at the end of the day and I'd type it into the computer and I'd kind of revise as I typed it in. But I like the free flowing of ideas and with my hand out onto the paper. So
Are you able to do this full time, or is this a part-time venture for you?
So, right now it is a full time, but you know, with how shows have been, I haven't been getting into as many shows this year just because, you know, the type of year it is, and there's a lot of competition that I am taking back another job to help ends meet, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But this is still my focus. This is still my passion. I still work about 80 to 90 hours a week.
Yeah. You find when you're working for yourself, you work far more hours than when you're working for someone else.
you're the worst
Yeah.
boss ever because you make
Yeah.
yourself work long hours and you pay yourself squat, right? So
Oh, absolutely. I tell people like, yeah, no, I left my traditional 9 to 5 job to work 80 to 90 hours a week, no weekends, no holidays, and no paid time off.
So show us some more stuff. You started to do that, and then we asked you questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got my couple of my products here. So again, talking about obscure things. This is actually one of my what I call my chibi cups. It is a stainless steel 20-ounce tumbler with a leak-proof lid, and I actually drew a character from Guilty Gear, which is not super popular, but I love this character. I told myself I was going to draw her one day, which I did recently. So again, and the design goes all the way around. It doesn't stop. So, but then, you know, I also draw some of the mainstream stuff because I like it too. And this is Yayamiko from Genshin Impact. She is about a 17-inch pillow. You can see her against my head. She is quite big, and she's squishy. I love squishy things.
Squishmallows.
I've had nothing but good reviews on my Etsy, people who bought them at conventions from me. I even had people tell me this is their object for when they're having panic attacks. So because they can hold it, they can squeeze it, they can hug onto it. It makes them feel safe and comfortable. And I just love pillows.
Yeah.
And then these two were by popular demand. So I do these little keychain charms. The reason why I call them charms is because the concept came from charms, but the reason why they're called their keychains is because of the little type of hook they have. So you can put these on your key rings, your bags. And these two characters are from, pardon the little display thing, but these two characters are from a Chinese anime and book called Heaven's Official Blessing, which I ended up falling in love with. So, but that is like one of my newest arts that I've had made into stuff right now, and I can't keep it in stock.
Oh wow.
What's your favorite anime?
Oh God. Every time someone asks me that question, I can never give a straight answer because I've watched so much. I've been into anime since the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen quite a bit. Like
asking somebody to pick their favorite children, Carol. What are you doing?
But like some of the ones I would say that had an impact on my life, Sailor Moon, because what girl from the 90s didn't watch Sailor Moon? And guys too. Let me see. Fushigi Yugi. I am a big Iwatase fan. I follow all her works. So like Ayashino Series, Imadoki. I've literally followed that woman's works because I just love her storytelling. Fruits Basket, of course, is another one. Rama 1/2. I like it more than Inuyasha. Please don't hate me. But I mean, there's also like the more serious stuff that I like Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex. Yeah. Absolutely love that one. I call that one the anime version of CSI. And there's just so much these days. I mean, I also love Record of Lotus Wars for their absolutely stunning imagery and backgrounds, and that's an old one. My Goddess. You can't go wrong with Belle Dowdy. It's just there's so much that I've loved that I can't tell people what's my favorite because I've just been involved in this community for a long time.
Are you surprised at how much it's grown? Because like
Oh yeah.
I also have been I've slacked off with my anime because there's just so much of it now that it's kind of an overload. But I started in the 80s because I'm that old. But yeah, and I remember going to like specialized anime stores where you would buy DVDs for $70 because it was the only way you could watch some of these titles.
Are you talking about Suncoast Video? Because I used to be a manager.
That was one of them, but when I first moved here, there was an actual anime store.
Oh
that did
wow.
nothing but anime. But it was like you'd get a series, but you'd be paying like close to $100. Because you didn't have Blockbuster didn't have a huge anime. They had Ghost in the Shell, the movie, and Akira, but their anime section was like one shelf. You know? So,
oh no. But yeah, no, I completely it is
channels devoted to it.
Oh, and now they got streaming too, like full-on stream apps because of how mainstream anime is these days. I am surprised because when I went ahead and watched got into anime and gaming. I've always been into gaming, but anime was like my thing that I got into like middle school into high school. Well, you really had no easy way of getting the stuff that wasn't here.
Yeah.
You had to go and download on horrible dial-up, mind you, Realtek videos, which are about that small. You needed a magnifying glass. I watched Amy's First Love through Realtek.
How the old days.
Yeah, fan subs and all that, where you had to send videotapes to the person and you hope they're not scamming you. Yeah, I've been through that too. But now it was like, okay, we would get a new anime, maybe, 10 tops a year, or not 10, maybe 20 tops a year. We would get new anime, that much anime. Now it's like every season there's 20 to 50 titles of new anime. I'm like, I can't keep up. So I start listening to other people who says, oh, go watch this. I'm like, okay, I'll add it to the list.
I do kind of miss the old days where it was just 13 episodes or 26 episodes because so many of these newer ones are doing the whole 8 seasons, 9 seasons, 10 seasons. And it's like, can we like finish the story?
No.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to say my first even exposure to anime, which probably would not be considered true anime. It was more just Japanese animation or Japanese cartoons, were the ones that they would play after school on UHF or VHF, or if I could dial very carefully, because TVs used to have dials, children. You used to have to try to find it on the airways. So did radios. But there was two that used to play a lot that I loved to watch. One was the one where it was this big, huge Titanic-like starship. And at the beginning and ending of every episode, it would tell you how many light years they had left to get home.
Star Blazer.
Star Blazer.
Was the Americanized version.
Yeah.
Yamamoto.
Yeah.
And then the other one was the one with and I saw a girl cosplayed at Dragon Con many years ago, but I was so excited when I saw her, and she was so surprised that I knew, but I didn't know the name of the show, but I knew who she was. And it was the one where it was the 5
Battle of the Planets.
Battle of the Planets.
And there was the girl in the pink and white vinyl.
They
were all different birds or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, that was so
in
cool.
America, in Japanese, it's Gatchaman because my series, my box set is Gatchaman. They heavily edited it for American.
It's ironic these days too. I'll have people like, "Oh, I've never watched anime." I'm like, "Okay, let me ask you this: have you ever watched Robotech?" Like, of course, that was my childhood. I'm like, that's Macross, that's a Japanese anime crap, all mashed up together, Voltron and all that. And they're like, what? So I'll be right there writing the names for them so they can go look them up.
Yeah. So, I watched those as a child, and then, kind of flash forward. And when I first started collecting donations for the Geek Gala, I would get all this stuff donated from people, and it was all this manga and stuff like that. And I had to totally rely on Carol, who was like, "Do you really want to put this in a basket? I could just take this home for you." And I was like, "No, we're raffling it off for charity." No, she never took anything. But if we had doubles or triples of something, sometimes we'd be like, "All right, if it doesn't go." But yeah, and now it's just like I learned about, and then I learned about Crunchyroll and all this stuff, and it was like next thing you know, it was just like all around. And I have a long to be watched list, but
Yeah, same
I
here.
know that.
so I mean, because you feed it, and it's such a good thing, but it's such a hard thing, because there's really good things out there that if somebody doesn't tell you, so you can add it to the list, or you don't stumble upon it, and then just trying to find people who've watched the deep cuts that you've watched, so it's kind of funny that way. But I appreciate that you all knew which anime I was talking
Oh yeah. The second you said it was like, well, it was after Star Blazer. I'm like, it's Battle of the Planets.
Yeah. Well, they like it wasn't always that one, Battle of the Planets. They rotated between that one and a couple others. Like on Mondays and Wednesdays it was this one, Tuesdays, Thursdays it was that one. But
Yeah, so
yeah.
I
But
have,
those were
yeah,
the two I tried to watch. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like I saw that ironically on those late night sci-fi channel anime hours, long before Toonami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, no one knows I'm up. Let me go sneak out and turn on the TV and keep the volume really, really low.
Yes.
Well, now I want to
Yes.
go watch some anime. So where can we find you online? Are you on, where can people find you online or on the interwebs?
So I am on just about everything. I'm on Twitter. I refuse to call it its other name. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Kara. YouTube. I'm on Twitch. I actually stream while working on art.
And you TikTok, because I tagged you today.
I TikTok. I do the tiki-talkie.
When I was trying to figure out my outfit for your episode, I was doing a little tiki-talk to explain how I go through my process. So
Ironically, this is my natural artist habitat. This is how I look when I draw. But I also have my own personal website, and I have a Etsy store and a Square store, which I typically recommend people go to the Square store because I don't have to charge as high as Etsy because the fees are lower on Square.
Okay.
So I'm just everywhere. If you just type in paprikaSTUDIOS, you'll find me on a Google search. I'm usually like one of the tops on just a random Google search.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and you are taking some pre-orders, but
yes,
as people get closer to the show, you may have new offerings that people can go. So make sure to check that out as well, right? So
absolutely. If you go to paprika-studios.com, go and click the Square store, because that's where the pre-orders are on. You can go ahead and see the entire list. And I also have a 10-year anniversary pillow up of one of my initial designs that people will not let me let it die, of Kirito and Asuna together, where Asuna's kissing his cheek. It's one of my earliest designs. I hate it because my style is so much better now, but people love that pillow. So it is back for its final time.
So remember, Geekery math is, if you pay for it before the show, then when you go to pick it up from her booth, it's free money.
Yeah,
right? Because you've already paid for it. So and then you'll have more money to spend at her booth when you get there. So make sure you go and pay for stuff now, and then you can pick up the new stuff when you get there. So support small business. Don't make her have to work 2 jobs.
2 jobs to keep the dream alive.
All right. Well, thank you, Tabby, so much. I know you're in the midst of a lot of change behind you, so we'll let you We'll let you get back to that, but thank you so much for stopping by today. And we look forward to seeing you on November 9th and
Absolutely.
and checking it out. So make sure you stop by and see Tabby. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
That was an episode of Guardians of the Geekery. Thank you for listening. Check us out at guardiansofthegeekery.com and stay tuned for more content.